Been very, very sick. When I was a deckhand, I suffered tremendously with seasickness, and I really thought I was going to have to leave the job. I really struggled with it. I lost a lot of weight. I mean, I'm not extremely big as it is, so I did lose quite a bit of weight, but I got through it. I just used to get on with it. I mean, my surname's Hickson. I used to get sicky hicky and all sorts of things.
Ships don't stop to embark or drop off their pilots. Sue Hickson must adjust the speed of her launch to that of the ship.
A lot of it comes natural because you're trained for it, and moving in safely and precisely and controlled, really. And if all those come together, then you carry your job out as you should do. I feel like I have to be extra careful, and I admit that, you know, if it's a difficult job, I think to myself, God, I don't want anything to go wrong, or I want it to be perfect, because if I do the slightest thing wrong, then yeah, maybe people think, oh, it's because it's a woman, but maybe that's just me.
Yeah, well, there's 137 of us. People sometimes can't understand so many pilots, but the river is very busy. We on an average day we may do 80 ships, busy 100 ships in one day. We're a workers' cooperative, which is quite unusual on such a large scale. We pool all our earnings, and we have a class system where junior pilots have 6/10 of a first class share and 8/10 for a second class pilot. We have a structure where when you first come in, you do 2 years as a third class pilot limited to 5,000 tonnes, and then after 2 years you go up to 20,000 tonnes, and then 4 years you become a first class pilot, and then it's another 6 years before you actually take the big ships over 40,000 tonnes up to 300,000 tonne super tankers that come to Immingham.
As Humber pilots make their way up the career ladder, they're subject to constant tests and assessments. Much of the training is done near the town of Arnhem in Holland on a simulator.
Okay, she just swing to start easy, yeah, okay.
Computer-generated graphics can produce a 360-degree image of any part of the river or estuary in any weather on any ship.
Number 1, just right ahead, please. Just minimum tow. Yeah, number 1, all easy, please.
Midships. Starboard 20. Out of starboard.
All easy 3.
VTS, the Oracle, approaching the IOT now. Got one tug fast, making the other fast shortly. Be working channel 68 with Immingham Dock, listening 12.
VTS on the start, thank you.
Because that's all that exercise was about, trying to get on the berth in the time constraints, you know, so it's like really, you've got to get there, but you've got to take things easy anyway, haven't you? Point is pushing it for time when you're going to damage a ship, that's for sure.
That takes usually a lot more time.
Repairing it?
Yeah.
Well, filling in all the forms.
Well,
I mean, you don't need to.
it was very realistic. All the graphics were very good. The computer simulation of the tugs and how the ship manoeuvred were excellent. It seemed to go okay, but it's like anything else. You're just getting used to the simulator, whereas when you're on the ship, you're there for 2 or 3 hours before you get to the intra-stream bits. On the simulator, you're on and you're straight into the thicker things, so it just takes a bit of getting used to, that's all.
Put a bit of pressure on their professional, let's say, proud, and you get them sweating anyway.
Number 1 tug, can you confirm that you're all fast?
Yeah, I will confirm, man, I'm fast.
Back in the real world, 30 miles inland from the mouth of the Humber, the river divides. To the right, past Goole and up to York, flows the River Ouse. To the left, the River Trent and its network of small, privately run wharves. Humber pilots bring ships safely to and from these small jetties as well. This morning, veteran pilot Tom Hooley is taking a coaster called the Humber down to Hull.
So I'm on what they call the 55 Club. So I just do the interports, yeah. No, I don't go as far as Humber now, no.
Do you want to steal them, pilot?
Yeah, may as well. Well, they're far better ships now. At least they have tillers and don't have these big wheels like they used to have. They used to have three people to turn the wheel, you know. Pilots either side and the captain on the top trying to turn them, you know, that sort of thing. That's what he used to have to cope with at one time.
Do you want to get the cook, sort this tea out? Get the old cook, get the kettle on, yeah.
The Trent is another waterway to test the skills of the Humber pilots.
This river is continuously shifting. I've even been in the River Trent with pilots on board, loaded ship, neat tides, and we've gone aground simply because a patch of mud has built up that no one knew about. So even for the pilots, they're learning every day, I think, anyway.
There's not one pilot that hasn't been aground. If he tells you he hasn't, well, he's a liar.
A passing Russian coaster prompts Tom's thoughts on passing the buck Russian style.
Always amuses me, you know, if anything goes wrong, say to the captain, what's going on here, captain? He'll say, what's wrong, Mr. Pilot? He'll say, what's this? And he'll say, well, I told the mate to do this. And so he'll show the mate, and the mate will say, it's not my fault, captain. He said, I told the bosun. Anyhow, the bosun's told the galley boy, and the galley boy eventually gets a sack, like.
A constant annoyance to Humber pilots, people who think they fly aeroplanes.
I always remember once I was coming back from the Trent. I think about midnight was arriving back in Hull, and we got stopped by the police, you know. And I said, what are you doing? I said, well, we're pilots. He says, are you pilots? And this copper, you know, he looked at me a bit funny, and he said, you pilots, sir? I said, yeah. He says, oh, he says, have you lot been drinking? I said, well, I haven't, no. And so he went back to the car, put his hat on, and along he came with this breathalyzer again. He said, you breathe into this, and he thought he'd got one, like, you know. Yeah. Well, he hadn't had a drop, you know, so... He said to me, he said, how can you be pilot? He said there's no airfield or... you know, that's about as much as I knew at the time. Yeah. You know? Oh, would you like to listen, please, Cap?
OK there, Tom.
The cost of pilots depends on the size of the ship. A large tanker could pay around £3,000.
OK there, pilot.
Lovely. Right, thanks, Captain. That'll do. I'll just fill my piece in and then...
While a smaller vessel like the Humber would pay a couple of £100 for Tom Hooley's services. Back in the Guildhall, the celebrations continue, and so do the stories.
Well, the VHF clicked on channel 16, and this little voice came on. Are there any friendly bears out there? Obviously wanting to chat, you see. This real hoity-toity voice came on. Vessel using channel 16 for unauthorised calls. Don't you know you're contravening subsection 4 of the Radio Telegraphy Act? And he went on and on, this guy. And in the end, it clicked off. And there was a silence. And the first voice came back on, and all it said was, you're not a friendly bear, are you?
Sometimes it's just not a pilot's day.
I had one ship which ran amok on me in Immingham dock. I realised something was wrong, looked out over the side, and the ship had really taken off. All the ropes parted. We hit the ship in front of us. The guy in the container crane obviously saw these two ships coming towards him, dumped his box on the quay, drove along the quay as fast as he could to get away. So we were halfway across over the top of the quay, and we hit one of the quayside cranes with a great wallop, and all I could foresee was that going over. There was another one parked next to it, and I could see a domino effect. And we hit the quay when we ran out of dock. It was a ship on its maiden voyage, a brand new ship.
Even Humber pilots don't get it right all the time, but with 2,000 years of history behind them, this independent breed of seafarers intend to be around as long as there are ships which need their skills. They're determined to remain, first to greet a ship when it arrives in the estuary, the last to say farewell when it sails.
Mersey Fisher, BTS. Thank you for the call, sir. Cheerio. Have a good trip, sir.